we're here to help you plan, prepare for, and get excited for your Disney cruise. You guys know me. I'm Rebecca, your host and admin of the DCL community. And today we are talking all things dining safely on board Disney Cruise Line with allergies. So as you're coming in, please say hello. Let us know where you're watching from so that we can say hi. But as people are coming in, Hunter, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, guys. My name is Hunter. I am a travel advisor with Jayco Travel. I have been in the travel industry for over 10 years, and planning Disney cruises is my passion. It's also my favorite vacation to go on. I've been on 29 Disney cruises across all 6 of Disney's ships. So they are my true passion, and I have a wealth of knowledge and firsthand experience to share with all of my guests. I love everything about Disney cruises, from the crew, the unlimited ice cream, the private islands, the character interactions, the shows, the entertainment, and so much more. I just find that for myself and my kids and the rest of my family, it's the perfect mix of Disney plus a little bit of relaxation. So we thoroughly enjoy Disney cruises. I'm super excited because I recently found out that I get to go on the Disney Destiny preview
So
in
fun.
November. So we're going to be bringing that news to you guys and all of those exciting things. I live and breathe Disney Cruise Line, kind of like Rebecca.
Yes, if there's anybody who can match the passion, let me tell you. And I know I'm so excited for the Destiny. And I think, looking at working with someone, and we're going to talk about how to get in touch with Hunter here, but having someone who sailed on these ships and can tell you about all the subtle differences and why Hunter's daughter loves this ship over this ship, it really makes such a difference when you're planning for your family. So Hunter, how can people get in touch with you if they want to start planning?
Yeah, if you want to start planning, you can email me. My email is listed there. And then there's also a clickable link on the Disney Cruise Line community website. I do text with my clients, but I'm not going to post my number. I only give that to clients after they've booked. And you can also go to my website and fill out a contact form. You can message me on Facebook. I can shoot you my calendar link, Instagram, TikTok, same thing. But email is definitely the best way to get a hold of me for the first time. Super responsive via email. If I'm not in my inbox all day, my assistant is. So that is probably the fastest way to get a response from us.
Yeah, so responsive. And let's touch on, I know you have a couple of specialties, but obviously we're talking about allergy travel today. So what makes you qualified to talk about all these things?
Yeah, so I have been cruising Disney for a very long time, and also taking my kiddos since they were just 1 year old. I have extensive knowledge in choosing different itineraries, staterooms, activities, excursions, all of those things with Disney Cruise Line. I've sailed in a ton of different variations, from my immediate family to just adult friends, a group of 30 plus. I've traveled with just myself and a kiddo without my spouse, and I've even traveled solo on Disney cruises. So I have a ton of knowledge in matching different party types to the right cruise. And I also have expert knowledge in food allergies and accessible staterooms. So we'll talk about more about that on the next slide. And then beyond just cruising with my family, I specialize in Disney Cruise Line weddings because I was a Disney Cruise Line bride, and I have planned numerous Disney Cruise Line fairy tale weddings on board.
If you are thinking about planning a wedding on board a Disney cruise or your honeymoon, definitely reach out to Hunter because she's got all the firsthand experience to help with there. But yeah, let's dive into the dietary restrictions and allergies and why that's so near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, so a few years ago, we experienced that my husband could not have gluten anymore. So we lucked out because our favorite vacation is Disney. And they go above and beyond to accommodate for allergies. So celiac disease is no different than that. And then my son and one of my really good friends also have nut allergies. So we've experienced that and those accommodations. I've sailed with other friends who have different fruit allergies, artificial sweeteners, mushrooms, dairy, seafood. So I've kind of experienced it all. I've had clients with, harder to handle allergies such as sunflower oil, things that are a little bit more particular than the top 9. And then also, as a registered nurse, I truly know how important it is to keep you and your family members safe from these allergens and what can happen if you're not kept safe and you're not given safe food. So I take a great responsibility and pride in preparing you to have a safe, allergy-free or allergen-free exposure cruise.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's the key part, right? It's not just going on a cruise and hoping for the best. Hunter is here to prepare you for that. So you know what to expect, you know what questions to ask, you know who to ask. And that's why stay tuned, because we're talking about it all today. And speaking of talking about it all, kind of run us through what we're going to be chatting about.
Yeah, so we did a little bit of that already, but the next step is we're going to talk about how you can put in the request online. And this is for those people that may have already booked on their own or whatever. That way you know how you can go in and make those requests. Otherwise, if you're booked with me, I will do all of this for you. So you can tune out for a minute. And then the deadlines for putting in those requests. And then we'll talk about some of the food and drinks on board that are allergy, give you a little FOMO with some pictures. We'll talk about some frequently asked questions, and then we'll kind of conclude this talking about how you can reach out to me, join my allergy group, and get my free allergy-safe ordering guide.
Yes, and I don't think we've mentioned it yet, but Hunter's planning services are actually free for you to utilize. So if we're going through this and your head is spinning and you just have way more questions, or frankly, you just want help planning your vacation, reach out to her. She is here to help you and put a little bit more excitement back in your cruise, take away a little bit of the stress. But let's talk about that online request form for those who've maybe already booked or just want to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, so when you pull up your Disney Cruise Line reservation in your Disney Cruise Line account, under that My Reservation section, you're going to see this box at the bottom where you see that arrow and that red arrow, and it says special request. And you're going to click on that blue link there, and that'll take you to the special request section. So that's step one, pull up your reservation, get to that screen. Then from there, you're going to click on dietary preferences, and at the bottom, the special services form. So first red arrow at the top, second red arrow at the bottom. That's steps 2 and 3.
Love that.
And then steps 4 and 5. So the next screen is going to pull up that dietary requirements. And then the bottom, you're going to make sure you have the correct guest highlighted. If the guest on the left is not the right person, you're going to go over to the right, click the little arrow, and it'll drop down and you'll be able to select the right guest out of this. And just for those that may be watching and have other things to request, this is the same area you're going to go in. Maybe you need to request a raised toilet seat or the pool lift for, a disabled travel member or hearing services. All these things are done in this special services form. So you can kind of see the rundown on the list on the left-hand side.
Oh, good to know.
And then so you can see I checkmarked no gluten or wheat there where that green check mark is. If your allergy is not listed here, for you to submit this, yourself or your travel agent will need to call in and manually notate the allergen with the cast member over the phone.
Okay, good to know.
I always tell people, just because you do this online request, like this is a CYA, but you need to make sure that I reiterate this to every server I encounter. You have the same dinner servers every night. For any of you that maybe haven't sailed Disney yet, every night for dinner, you're going to have the same servers. That's part of rotational dining. You keep the same serving staff the entire duration of your cruise. So after your first dinner, your servers are going to remember that you have an allergy, and it's going to be on their paper. But lunches and breakfasts and other locations, you need to remind them that you have an allergy every single meal.
And what about room service? Assuming it's the same there too?
Yes. And a lot of times when you call down, they'll ask, do you have any allergies for room service? But if they don't, just stop them and tell them you have an allergy. I like to do the allergy order first. And then sometimes I'll even hang up and call back because I want to be like super sure. And even with room service, when they bring it, it's going to be like saran wrap and it's going to be on a completely separate tray, marking that it's an allergy.
Good to know. Man, we got the firsthand experience here. I love it.
So there are some deadlines to make these requests. Now, don't freak out if you just have a food allergy. and you didn't request it 3 days prior, that's okay. But if you call in a day before, the notation probably won't make it to the ship because they send the manifest and all those notes 3 days before. So don't worry, you'll still be accommodated, but you're going to have to be more vocal about it when you get on board with the servers because they may not see it on their side just because of the delay in information. But don't worry. Now, the other diets, it's really important that those get requested when they're supposed to be to ensure the ship has time to put in the order for the provisions that they need to make these meals possible.
Good to know.
Provisions is the order of that type of food. So to meet the restrictions of a kosher diet and stuff. So they have to have time to place the orders and get the food to the ship in a timely manner. So that's why they need that long of, a notification ahead of time. But food allergies, you're going to be fine if you roll up and it's not noted. It's just the fact the system won't transfer after that 3 days.
Got it. Okay. That's good to notate. So if you have a specific diet, kosher, halal, that's when you're going to want to make sure that you have plenty of time ahead of time. And Hunter, is this something that you ask your clients as you're going through the planning process? So you can just go ahead and take care of this for them before that deadline?
Yeah. So I actually, when I take a client in and they're filling out their booking details for me, there's a special note section and there's like suggested answers and it'll be like allergies, special diets, special requests. So people can type those in there. And the same goes for loyalty numbers. If you have a Castaway number or a Marriott number, maybe you have a known traveler number for TSA pre-check, global entry, all of those we can collect so that we can put it on the reservation for you ahead of time. Because we haven't mentioned it, but I don't just book cruises for my clients, or if it's not a cruise vacation, I don't just book the resort. I also will help with flights, transfers, pre-night stay, travel insurance, all of the components of your cruise or any vacation I can help with, third-party excursions. It's not just one transaction with the cruise. We're full service, so we do help you with everything, which is nice because that can be a significant difference in travel agents. So there's a lot of travel agents that do not book air, and that's totally okay. That's their choice. That's just the business model I chose.
Yes, I love that you mention it too, because I know when I'm going through and I'm booking my cruise, I'm not necessarily thinking about those other parts quite yet. So it's nice that you take the thinking out of it and you're like, I've got it handled. This is what you need to tell me.
Yeah, and we send reminder emails too, like, hey, it's time to start looking at pre-night stays. Hey, if you haven't booked your ground transfers, like we'll help you, but we need to get this done. Hey, like this is the last chance to book travel insurance. So you get those reminders. I call them planning stone reminders or planning stone emails, so that you're not forgetting important information about your trip. We're kind of nudging you with those reminders. And it is helpful because everybody's always busy in this day and age, and we don't want things to slip through the cracks.
Absolutely. Love that. Okay, so let's chat about ordering on board in the main dining rooms.
Yeah, and this is the part that kind of goes into what my safe allergy ordering guide talks about. It is a little bit more robust, but we'll cover the basics here. And then anybody who joins my allergy group can email me and request the entire, the PDF guide, which is 4 pages long. So for breakfast and lunch, if you choose to eat in the main dining room, you'll need to tell the servers your allergies ahead of time, because like I just mentioned a few minutes ago, only your dinner servers are the same every time. So after the first night, so that we're talking, this is day 2, breakfast and lunch. You will have ordered your breakfast and lunch for the next day to go to either the main dining room or the buffet, whether that's Cabana's or Marceline's Market. So you can walk in, say, I have allergies, I did a pre-order. They'll take your number, your room number, and they'll be able to get your pre-order because you'll have already submitted it for that location the night before. So on that first night, you'll need to confirm all of your allergies and you will order. But then for the second, you'll have already ordered everything when you sit down. So I always say the first night you need to pack a little bit more patience, but after that it gets a bit easier. So if you see something on the menu that you aren't sure if they can make due to your allergy, or maybe it's not marked gluten-free, just ask, because they only mark the things that are naturally gluten-free. Okay. So maybe a fillet of salmon, or, a steak fillet, like they might mark those gluten-free because they're naturally gluten-free, but that doesn't mean they can't make the chicken parm gluten-free.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something a lot of people don't take into consideration. Same thing with the penne bolognese and animators. They can make that gluten-free, but it's not marked gluten-free on the menu. So if something is speaking to you, just ask if they can make it specific for your allergy. They really do their best to accommodate. And it's easier for them to do that on subsequent nights and not the first night, just because they're already prepared for what you're going to be eating. So day one, dinner, pack your patients. It's going to take a little bit longer. Day one, after dinner, usually after they've taken your dessert order, they're going to bring you the next day's menus. So day one, dinner, you're going to order day two's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. On day two, you're going to order day three's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're kind of getting ahead of time with the cadence, and that way you know what you're getting, you're planned to prepare for it. And I like that they still let you choose. It's not like you just have the one option and that's kind of what you're stuck with. And I know from talking to you in the past, some of the allergen-friendly menu items might even beat out some of the non-allergen ones. So there are some really good options on there.
They do have, some of the restaurants do have an allergen-specific menu, but again, just because something's not on there, but it's on the main menu, doesn't mean they can't make it. There are a couple things they can't make, for instance, gluten-free. Like I know the bao buns and marble, they can't make gluten-free. Mm-hmm. But they really try their best. A lot of people want to see like the allergen-specific menus ahead of time. And to be honest, that's not really a thing. And not every restaurant has an allergy menu. Even on the same ship, like one restaurant might have an allergy menu and the next one doesn't. So that is a bit of an inconsistency across the board that does bother me. But otherwise, they're fantastic. And they're so accommodating.
So I was going to say, Disney wants you to have a good experience on board. Yeah. So they will do what you can, but I always say this, but like, don't suffer in silence. Ask the question. If your dining team can do something for you, they will. So just ask, be polite. But what about the buffet and the pool deck?
Yeah. So in the buffet, when you walk in, so this is the podium on the Treasure. You're going to see typically somebody standing there, or you'll see the stack of, transfer slips, and a head server, as you see dressed here, will be in blue pants and a white polo. They will take your allergy order on the transfer slip if you did not pre-order it. So say you're just popping in the buffet for a snack, or maybe you just didn't want to pre-order breakfast and lunch. You'll find them there to pre-order. If you don't see the podium, if you don't see somebody standing there, grab any cast member, crew member, and say, hey, I need to place an allergy order, and they'll call for a head server to take your order. They'll ask where you're sitting, and then they'll bring your meal to you. Same concept on the pool deck. You're going to let the server behind the counter know that you have allergies, and they'll call for a head server. And again, they're typically wearing blue pants and a white polo. And they will take your room number, name, allergy order, and again, ask where you're sitting, and they'll bring your meal to the seat on the pool deck. This is the same at the bars too. If you have a specific allergen, a lot of times when I'm standing at the bar and I've noticed is it's a citrus allergy. And they've got to get a head server just to do a mixed drink cocktail order too.
Interesting. I didn't think about that. Like some of the bars and lounges have like little nuts and snacks that they put out. So if I'm going to, O'Gill's or Keys for a martini, Is that something that I should say up front so that they know not to put those snacks down in front of me if I do have a specific allergy, or how should you go about that?
If they bring them over, I would just say, I have an allergy. They're not supposed to be putting those down for anybody with allergies. They should be asking, but most of the times they don't. Just say, I have an allergy. They may ask you what it is. They may not. If you have a dairy allergy, like the nut mix is going to be fine, but I would have them verify it because they all, in the bars, they have the beverage managers and they will check. So it's not going to be head server, but a beverage manager, and they'll be able to verify.
Yes, there's always somebody. And then this question from Christy. Christy, we just talked through that whole process for that first day. So I would say rewind the video just a little bit.
I think she was watching the whole time.
Awesome.
Just based on her other question. But you don't need to go anywhere to discuss your allergies on your first day if they're notated. You can go to one of the main dining rooms for lunch and just tell them your allergies. But again, you don't have to go to the dining meeting. People say that, but you do not. You do not need to go to the dining meeting. You'll find on the Navigator app. You can just tell them when you sit down. And you don't even have to go to the main dining room. You can go to the buffet. You just have to be prepared for a wait. But it's going to be a wait in the main dining room too, or the pool deck.
Yes, just balloon.
But there's no requirement of where you need to go.
Yes. Awesome. Okay, so what about room service and coffee?
Yeah, so room service, like we talked a few minutes about, you will call down. They should ask you if you have any allergies, but if they don't, just stop them and tell them that you have allergies. And then ask if there's a time the allergy kitchen closes. It is typically around 9 p.m., but we have found that if you pre-order something for after, they are obligated to make it. But if you call after nobody's there and the allergy kitchen is closed, they're not. So one of our guilty pleasures is going to the adult activities. They normally start at 10:45, 11:30, and then ordering gluten-free chicken tenders and warm cookies and milk to be delivered at midnight.
Love that.
But we when we're getting ready for dinner, we call down and pre-order that for midnight or 12:30 or whatever time we want it.
Tell me you're a pro without telling me you're a pro. That's so good.
For the specialty coffee shops and bars, just like we mentioned, you'll need to tell them that you have an allergy. They'll bring up the beverage manager. If it's just a dairy allergy and you know that you can use, a alternative like soy milk or coconut milk or whatever, you can just tell them you need that. But if you have other allergens, I would be very clear that you have an allergy. I need to delete that last sentence because when I was on the Treasure, they did have oat milk.
Got it.
But on the Wonder, when I was on the Wonder in Alaska, they did not have oat milk. So they could be out of anything at any given time, depending on what provisions they were or were not able to get.
Yeah, this is such a good point.
So, and the brands of allergy-friendly foods may not be the same across ships. So we've had Purdue brand chicken tenders on a ship, and we've had another brand of gluten-free chicken tenders on the ship because we have gluten-free chicken tenders all the time. I know when it's not the Purdue brand. So don't be surprised if the provisions are just different, especially when you're in different regions. So the European cruises are probably not going to have the same brands as the Caribbean and Bahamian cruises.
Got it.
Little things to consider.
Yes, absolutely. And we have this question from Annie here. Thinking about doing a couple days in the parks before my cruise. Do the parks take allergies just as seriously? Do I have to fill out a form there too?
The parks do take allergies very seriously. It's a little bit of a different process, which I'm not going to go into on the video, but you will safely eat at the parks as well.
Yes, definitely reach out to Hunter if you need help planning that, because I know the parks are so far over my head with all the different options and passes and things. So she can help with that as well. The parks, resorts, cruises, you name it. She has got your back when it comes to travel. And a question came in about adult dining. So I'm glad that you have this in here too.
Yes. So the adult dining locations are fantastic about allergies. again, this is not something that you're going to call and notify them ahead of time. But if you have allergies on your reservation already, they're going to see that. Don't worry about needing to go up there and tell them. They can accommodate just about anything. Now, there are a few things that are more limited because they don't have as robust of a menu, but we've always been taken care of in there with all different allergies. So I personally have done Remy Palo Steakhouse. I've not done Enchanté yet, but I imagine they treat it just the same as Remy and Palo. You'll tell your server your allergies when you're seated, just as precaution, and then a lot of them can be accommodated. My favorite gluten-free dessert is the gluten-free chocolate souffle in Palo.
So
it
good.
Is amazing. But yes, they are fantastic about accommodating dietary needs, and you'll be equally as blown away as somebody without allergies.
I think it's Therese is asking, do you have to put your order in for the adult only menu before too?
No, they take your order on the spot. So it'll be treated like the first night when you get on board, where you're telling them for the first time. When the server asks to order for the next day, if you have Palo the next night or any of the other adult dining, just tell them we're going to Palo, and they'll be like, okay. And they'll just have you pre-order breakfast and lunch if you want to. And the same goes for not only Palo dinner, but also Palo brunch or Remy brunch. I would not recommend the dessert options at Remy. And Enchanté has a dessert one too, right?
Yeah, the dessert experience.
Yeah, I would not recommend those with allergies because they are very preset. Yeah, but as far as brunch and dinner, very accommodating.
To know. And someone's asking if they're worth it. I vote yes. They're all amazing.
I vote yes. We do them every time.
Yes, they're so good. Oh, I wish I could have that for dinner tonight and not the leftovers that are in my fridge, but alas, here we are. And what about on Castaway and Lighthouse?
Yes. So this will be the same as when you're ordering for the next night. You'll order for the island too. So if you go to Castaway tomorrow, you're going to order tonight. Same with Lighthouse. They will give you like the paper menu and say, this is what we have. And you can, say, can you accommodate this? And then there is a specific pickup point for allergy orders on both islands. So on Castaway, it's cookies 1. And on Lighthouse, it's True 2 barbecue. And it's on the left side of both buildings. You'll tell them you're here for an allergy. It'll be your meal will already be prepared, wrapped in saran wrap with the ticket on it. And sometimes they'll give you a number and have you sit and they'll bring it to you. Just depends on like how busy they are and if it's ready. But yes, you can only pick up at those 2 locations. If you're on Serenity Bay or if you're down by the Cabanas, which is on Castaway, closer to Cookies 2, you cannot pick it up there. You have to go to Cookies 1 to pick it up. Same thing at Lighthouse. You have to pick it up at True 2 barbecue. I know both of these pictures are for the original one, but it's the only picture they had.
Yeah. That is okay. The information is there. And Kristen is asking, worried about my kids fighting over who gets what. One has allergies and one doesn't. Do the options compare or are they very different?
As I've mentioned multiple times, they are very accommodating and they try to make what they can because they want people to feel included. It ultimately depends on the allergen.
Yeah, oh, good point. Good point. Yes, everybody's allergies a little bit different and accommodations and taste buds too. Like I love the cheeseburgers on Castaway. Some people don't. To each their own. To each their own. Medical response. Let's chat through if things do not go as planned. What happens?
Yes. So Disney cruises have your safety as their number one priority always. And that includes food allergy emergencies. The medical center is fully staffed. They do have doctors, they do have nurses. And if, God forbid, there's an allergic reaction, they know how to handle that. They are available 24/7, even though the health center hours say otherwise. They're only walk-ins at that point. But if you have an emergency, you can dial 911 from the ship stateroom, and it'll be filtered through to the security team. And they'll, get a doctor to your stateroom or wherever you are. You can also call guest services and they can contact medical, or you can dial, I think it's 73000 if it's during clinic hours, and get a doctor. I know all of these things work because I have experienced medical emergencies on the ship with my own family. Just as recent as February, my grandmother had a heart episode on the ship. Blood work, EKG, follow-ups, hours in the infirmary, fluids, the whole 9 yards. We went through it all. My son got a giant cut on his hand and had to get stitches and a tetanus shot and dressing changes in the infirmary in February also. So been there, done that. They were wonderful. The infirmary or health center is located on deck 1 on all of the ships. Take a peek at the deck plan in the Navigator app if you need to find it or get down there, because it is only accessible by certain stairwells, as deck 1 is not completely accessible from one end of the ship to the other.
So glad you mentioned that.
Always keep your EpiPen accessible. Like, don't keep it in your suitcase. If you're going out to the pool and you have like a sling bag or a backpack, keep it in there. Okay. Very important in my opinion. But I've always had a fantastic experience with the health center staff. They are prepared to treat true emergencies. Like, they had a ICU set up for anaphylactic responses. Obviously, they want to get people off the ship with those such emergencies as fast as possible because it's not a hospital. But they do have the equipment needed if that situation arises.
Good to know. Yes, they will take great care of you. And Hunter will tell you that this is exactly why you have travel insurance, because you never know when things are going to go wrong, and you want to be as prepared as you possibly can be. And I am so excited. Hunter put together some of these FAQs that we constantly get when it comes to allergies. Yes. So we're going to go through these, and then feel free. I know I missed a couple of questions. So I'm going to go back through and just make sure that we get to all of them. But let's start with, how do I let Disney Cruise Line know that I have special dietary needs or restrictions?
Yeah, so we walked through the process at the beginning of this video, so you can rewatch it and see step by step on the form. Or if you've booked with a travel agent, you can just send them an email and let them know to notate the allergies or special medical needs on your reservation prior to sailing. Those should be put in 3 days prior to embarkation, but don't fret if it's not. They just won't transmit from the ship. You'll just have to tell them in person.
Yes. And how far in advance do we need to make sure those are submitted?
So 3 days for allergies if you want it to get to the ship before you board. And then dietary requests, it depends. So if it's like a kosher meal, 5 weeks. If you need a kosher meal for Passover, 10 weeks. And the reason is because they have to order those provisions to the ship.
Yes. And this question, should we plan to keep our EpiPens in their boxes and prescription sticker is on that, or just the EpiPen is enough? Can kids carry them into the kids clubs?
Technically, by like customs regulations, all prescription medication needs to have the prescription label on it. I can tell you from experience, lots of people use medical like pill cases. So take that for what you wish. I would keep it in its box. The kids club are trained to administer EpiPens, but a parent, legal guardian does have to complete and sign to authorize them to do that in an youth activities venue. And you can fill that out prior to and send it in, or you can fill it out on board. And then you have to provide the EpiPen to the ship. And it has to be in the container labeled. So with that prescription label on it, the child's physician, you know, all of that stuff on it in the original container. But if it's for an adult, like I said, it is technically the law to keep it in its prescription box. The youth activities front desk will keep the EpiPen when you check them in. And then kids that have bands, this is mostly for the Oceaneers Club, but if they have bands, the lock that gets put on their band is a different color if they have allergies. So they have a gray lock and a red lock. So if they have allergies, they'll know which kid, you know, has allergies by the lock on their band.
Okay, love that. Another important reason.
And when you get on board during your like registration process, like you do the pre-registration process, but the first time you go to drop them off, or I recommend doing it right when you board to finish, so you don't fight the dinner rush of the kids club. To finish like the registration, they're going to specifically ask you if they have allergies when they verify your code word with you.
Perfect. I love that. And speaking of kids club, Brandy is asking if they give any snacks out in the kids club.
So there's still more questions on our FAQ, and that's one of them.
Beautiful. Okay.
There's like 4 slides of FAQs or something.
Okay. Then we will save all these questions until the end. Let's talk about ice cream.
So the ice cream from Ice Cream is gluten-free. I actually have a picture of the container if they're still using the same vendor. They won't guarantee that there's no cross-contamination, but we've never had any issues with as far as gluten sensitivity or nut sensitivity. You can either A, ask for a gluten-free cone and make sure they change their gloves, or B, you can go to the soda station and grab a cup and they'll put the ice cream in that, and then grab a spoon from either the pool deck or the buffet.
Good to know.
Yes. So accommodating allergies for excursions, not a thing. If you're going on excursions, I recommend bringing your own allergen-friendly snacks with you. Factory sealed snacks can be brought on board. They just have to remain factory sealed to be taken off the ship. So if you bring a box of crackers, don't open them in the ship stateroom, because then you can't take them back off to go on the port. They have to be closed. So if you're going off for the day in Nassau, take some gluten-free or whatever allergen-free, I don't know, shelf-stable protein shakes or granola bars or whatever allergen-free snacks you have. Just make sure they are factory sealed and packaged. They cannot be fresh fruits, meats, vegetables, because of customs regulations.
Yes. And what about, I know you just mentioned cross-contamination with the ice cream. So what precautions are taken with that in general?
So when I was talking about cross-contamination with the ice cream, I'm talking about like in the factories where it's produced. The factory itself will not guarantee cross-contamination is not happening, but it is a naturally gluten-free product. I know I've emailed the factory to ask if they were gluten-free and nut-free. You can ask to see the cartons or packages of pretty much anything on board if you're worried about an allergy. I had to do that for syrup. I've done that for barbecue sauce. So that is an option. On the ship, as far as cross-contamination, they do not have a specific allergy-friendly kitchen, like a designated kitchen. They have a separate preparation area. So in that area, everything is protected as far as cross-contamination, whether that in preparation, whether that be from the items they're using to cook, the fryers, or just, preparing one meal at a time to avoid these cross-contaminations. Mm-hmm. But they don't have an allergy-free kitchen. This slide does need updated, but we've done 29 cruises now. We have never gotten sick from an allergy.
Awesome.
So take that for what it's worth. There are families that have gotten sick, but you take that risk anywhere you go. If your family eats out or any vacation you take, I think the best safety tip is to be prepared. Know what you can and can't do as far as asking for labels or just knowing how to best prepare yourself and your family to deal with these things is really helpful. Knowing how to order, where to order, who to look for, those types of things. And if you have any concerns, ask for a head server, ask for a manager.
Yes.
There's no harm in that. Just do it politely.
Yes, absolutely.
Or if you're having a language barrier, there's no, because Disney Cruise Line at any given time has 84 different nationalities on the ships.
Yeah.
You may just struggle to understand somebody. There's no harm in asking for somebody else to help you understand or help them understand. Or if you're going on a European cruise, I make sure my clients have allergy cards for those countries, especially when they're getting off in port. So if they're getting off in Italy, I make sure they have an allergy card in Italian notating what their allergy is.
So smart.
Those types of things, just to make sure they're even more prepared. And you can do that for a Disney cruise. There's huge representations of certain nationalities. Filipino is a big one in the servers. So sometimes that can be helpful.
Absolutely.
But really, Disney really has done a really good job at making sure all the servers take allergies seriously.
That's so true. And speaking of some of these other opportunities to dine on board, Royal Court Tea, Olaf's Royal Picnic. I know, hot topics. Some people love them. Some people, we have our feelings.
Yeah. So we won't get into if we think it's worth it or not, but not on this video. I think we did on another one. They do their best to accommodate allergies as well. In my experience, when we did Royal Court Tea with our daughter, they brought out my husband a separate tray of gluten-free, like pastries and sandwiches and tea. We also did Olaf's Royal Picnic, and they did the same thing. We have not done the one on the Treasure though, but it's going to be the same scenario. If they can accommodate, they will. Absolutely. And they actually ask you. So I think the day before, maybe 2 days before, we got a call we were actually sailing concierge, and the concierge staff, it was like, hey, they want to know, do you have any allergies for the cupcake for your daughter, because they do a specific cupcake. And no, but then they brought him, I keep pointing because he's in the kitchen. they brought my husband gluten-free sandwiches at Royal Court.
They want everybody to feel included as much as possible. And what about in the concierge lounge?
Yeah, so they, on your first day when you're doing your concierge lunch, or if you skip the lunch in the lounge, your concierge host will ask you if you have any food allergies, and they will keep your allergen-safe snacks in the back. And anytime you walk in, you can just say, hey, do you have any allergy for snacks for me? And they'll be like, yeah. And they'll go get it, and it'll be wrapped on a little plate with saran wrap, and they'll give it to you. In our experience, they went above and beyond. They sent him back to the room with some of his favorites. And even if you don't, because they rotate out the snacks every 3 hours. So even if you're not in there, they're going to have something for you, anticipating that you're going to come in and want something, knowing that stuff gets changed every 3 hours.
Oh gosh, I love Disney so much for that. And what about gluten-free beer?
Yes, they do have gluten-free beer. It's actually gluten-removed beer. Some people don't feel safe with that if they're celiac, because it's got trace amounts. My husband did fine with it. He drank a lot of it in the concierge lounge. You just have to ask for it. They also have it at many of the bars too.
Awesome. Good to know. And yes, you will be able to rewatch this for the people asking. It'll be up on the DCL community YouTube if you need to refer back to it. So just answering, I see a couple of those questions coming in. But what about, can you bring food from home to eat on the ship?
Yeah, we just talked about this briefly, but factory sealed foods you can bring. We've brought granola bars, fruit snacks, apple squeeze pouches, protein shakes, cracker packs. So as long as it's factory sealed, you can bring it on, and it has to be factory sealed to remove it too. So if you take a shelf stable protein shake and don't finish it, it's got to go in the trash. I can't go back home with you.
Yes. And Jenny, yes, that does mean that you can't bring, the question here is about using Ziploc bags. So if you open it in the stateroom and then put it in a Ziploc bag, that Ziploc bag cannot be coming off the ship. Factory sealed is the big thing. I know Hunter keeps stressing it. So factory sealed is the most important there. And then what about seeing food labels, since there are so many options on board? I know you have a lot of them because you've done so much due diligence for your clients.
Yeah, you can definitely ask, or ask what brand they are using. Like I said, we've asked to see the labels on the ice cream, like cream, the cartons that they pour into the machine for the soft serve. We've asked to see syrup bottles, barbecue bottles. Those are things that gluten can be hidden in.
Good
And a fun fact is Disney uses paper straws. Save the turtles, but I have feelings about that. A lot of the paper straws can have gluten too. So I would strongly suggest you tell the servers not to put straws in your drink if you have celiac. I do know that the flavored candy edible straws near the bars are marked gluten-free though.
Okay, that question came in as well, so I'm glad you called that out.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, they are marked gluten-free.
Okay, good to know. And then what about going to a restaurant without pre-ordering? I know we talked about pre-ordering a little bit earlier, but can you just, if you just decide that you don't want to do the buffet that day and you want to go to the main dining room, can you do that?
Yeah, you can. Just be patient. Be prepared to have a wait.
Yes. And then how do they accommodate for food allergies in the kids club?
Food is not served in the kids club. That ceased with COVID. So if you do a kids club tour, you may see like in between lab and club, this giant room with all these tables. You're like, what the heck is this used for? Well, that's where they used to serve lunch or dinner or whatever. That stopped. The only place you can have snacks brought in is the nursery. So no snacks in the kids clubs and that's Oceaneer Club and Lab. Keep in mind that the kiddos can take food into Edge and Vibe. So if
do they still do smoothie hour? Do they still do that?
Hold on, I'm going to mute myself to yell for my kid.
Yeah. If you don't know, smoothie hour back in the day was like the social event. Let me tell you, in the teen club. Oh, so much fun. And keep your questions coming in, everybody. We're going to do our best to get to as many as possible.
He said no.
Oh, man.
He's been in Edge for a few years, and he said he's never had it, and we've done a lot of cruises in 3 years. So.
Oh, man. I wonder if it's just a vibe thing. Okay.
Maybe.
We'll have to do
He's not that age yet. Also, I'm trying to think if he's been on the Dream or Fantasy since he's been in Edge. Yeah, he was. He was on the Dream. No.
Okay. Well, that is good to know. So no things to potentially worry about with them dining in the kids' club.
But I'm talking about
food gets brought in. And let's see. So Christy, yes, you can bring those shakes on board. There's not like a set amount of drinks to bring, non-alcoholic drinks to bring on the ship with you. So you can carry those on with you as long as they're factory sealed. Just carry those on. Don't check them. But those are fine. The only things there's limits on are alcohol for adults over 21 plus. Yeah. And then is the ship equipped to deal with severe allergic reactions?
Yeah, so we briefly touched on that on the medical slide, but they are equipped to deal with severe allergic reactions, anaphylaxis. And even though they have posted hours on the health center door, don't fret, they are 24/7. They just don't take walk-ins 24/7. So you'll just call guest services or 911 from the ship. That'll alert security, and they'll react and respond appropriately. I did just ask my kiddo about, they do let them eat still in Edge and Vibe. They can bring their food. They just have to stay at the table so that it can be contained to an area for the kiddos with allergies.
Got it. Okay, good to know. You got sources on the scene. Look at you. I love it. Okay, and
so here's just a little food FOMO for you. So the top left, I believe, is that, what is it? Pasta penne bolognese and animators. That's gluten-free, or this version of it is. We've got some gluten-free donuts and pastries from room service. That's the second picture. Third picture is gluten-free bread and palo. The last picture is gluten-free. I believe it's butternut squash.
Yeah, it looks like a gnocchi.
Yeah, I think it's
Cool.
butternut squash gnocchi in 1923. This was only on the allergy menu, not on the regular menu. And I don't have any allergies, but I got that because it was so good.
Oh man. Okay. That's gonna be a must get for me next time. Then I'm gonna be like, can I please see the allergy menu? Please.
Yeah. The bottom left dessert is some sort of raspberry chocolate dessert, a palo brunch. Tomato soup, gluten-free tomato soup is the second bottom picture. So good. You can get from room service gluten-free tomato soup and gluten-free grilled cheese.
Oh, yum.
The next one is gluten-free French toast. And then the last one is a steak and animators, it looks like. That is gluten-free.
Oh, so good.
You have a gluten-free creme brulee. I think the next picture is lasagna, maybe.
It looks like it could be a vegetarian lasagna, maybe with eggplant.
Yeah, I think that one's in palo. I can't remember.
Okay.
The next one's gluten-free pot stickers. Then we've got another dessert in palo. Is that one a pork chop maybe on the bottom left?
Yeah.
Millimeters? I put these pictures in here a while ago.
I think it's the herb crusted pork chop, which
I think you're right.
So good.
The next one is the gluten-free chocolate souffle. If you've never had Palo's chocolate souffle, gluten-free or not, it is the best.
So good.
The next one's a chocolate dessert, and then another chocolate mousse dessert. They always have the gluten-free raspberry sorbet. That's a fan favorite. So that one's always good. That's in the top right. But they're so accommodating. You can get gluten-free Mickey waffles. You can get gluten-free churro Mickey waffles. Gluten-free, like they're so good with celiac and gluten-free. They're equally as good with nut allergies, dairy allergies, egg allergies. The ones that I find that are a little bit trickier and result in bland food are spice allergies. So pepper, pepper's a big one. But yeah, I've had truly good experiences. In my allergy group, I have lots of people that have posted after their experience with, positive insight. I think in the last year, my allergy group, I've only seen one negative post.
Awesome. That's so good. And just kind of off of that, Matt is asking if your husband thought that Apollo was worth it with the allergy. I'm assuming
100%.
it's yes.
We go every cruise. So yes.
Yeah. Yes.
The only thing he really doesn't partake in at Palo is the appetizers because he doesn't like calamari and he doesn't like burrata. So those are the two appetizer choices on the prefix menu. And he doesn't like either. So, and we typically do the prefix menu, but I'm trying to think.
Everything else.
Yeah.
Everything else is so good.
Even Remy, I think there was one thing he couldn't have at Remy because either the first, one option didn't like and the other one wasn't gluten-free, but he didn't care because that was the him thing. But both were still worth it.
Oh my gosh, there's just so many good options.
Yeah.
And yes, we did talk about Castaway already. So I would say go back, rewind this video. It'll be up on the DCL Community YouTube page. But yes, you will be taken care of at Castaway as long as you do what you have to ahead of time. But yeah, I think we've answered all of the questions that have come in. Hunter, thank you so much for all of this information. I know going on a cruise in general, going on vacation in general, traveling can cause people stress. But then when you add in that additional layer of having to consider dietary restrictions or allergies, it can kind of make people just extra worried and spiral out even. So that's why having an expert like Hunter in your corner is so important. And she's done it. She's been there. She's got your back.
Yeah, and I will hop on a Zoom call. I call it our like game plan phone call, like pre-vacation game plan phone call, and I will hop on with you on a Zoom, on a phone call, and we will go through my 4-page safe allergy ordering guide step by step together. We can talk about, I will circle on a deck plan exactly where the infirmary is. I will, help you until you feel prepared. So, and another thing I always tell my clients, join the allergy group. You can ask other people besides me just to get second, third, fourth opinion for extra peace of mind. People who, for yourself. And I always, every time before I sail, I say, what allergy questions do you have? Because if I don't know the answer, I'll get it for you while I'm on the ship.
She is putting in the work to help all of your clients around the world so that they're not stressed. They can just focus on enjoying their cruise and getting ice cream in peace.
Yes.
And I was going to say, I know you're going to post this in the group and everything will be clickable. So if you have any questions, if you're ready to start planning your vacation, reach out to Hunter. The link to her page is on the bottom of the screen scrolling through, but all of these will be clickable as well. So you can email her, follow her on social media, and she is here to help. Again, her planning services are free for you to utilize. So let her help you in planning your dream vacation without worrying about allergies. Hunter, thank you so much again. This was awesome. And we will see all y'all on board real soon. Bye, guys.